questions about his alleged failings in reference to the pledge and his patriotism in general. One guy will win the state of Florida by a 2-1 margin if current polls hold up. Guess which one? I'm confused as all hell. So where do you stand on this Michael Tyson thing, huh? 99 Bob in Riverview. Bob, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Okay, Bob, such is life. Gene in Tampa. Gene, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
I read that, well, I'm a Democrat. Hello, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm a Democrat, and I support Mike Dukakis. I think he'll make a pretty good president.
Great.
And I'm just confused like you are. I can't understand how Bush is leading in the electoral vote all over the nation. It just it's confusing me.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. Where do you stand on this Michael Tyson thing?
Well, I'll go for Mike Tyson, I guess.
Go for Mike Tyson. Okay, thanks, Gene. Appreciate that. Nick in Tampa. Nick, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yes, Bob.
Yes.
You know, what's been happening, with Bush and with Dukakis, it reminds me of a word that I found in the dictionary. It's called kakistocracy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that word.
No, I'm not.
Okay, kakistocracy means that it's, let me see. It's a government by the worst men. That's what it means. And that's what I feel about what's happening, today in politics. We have to choose the best of the worst.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Bye now.
Take care. We're talking about the Michael Tyson situation here today because obviously you people couldn't care less about this other nonsense. I mean, obviously. Clearly. And it's not a matter of, calls or not calls or anything like that. It's a matter of just looking at the polls. None of this stuff, it just all rolls off your back. Hey, it's cool with me. I just thought I'd mention it. I get a real large charge out of this mental image I have of sweet little old gray-haired ladies and young punk kids with mustaches sitting at home screaming at the radio. I just get a real large charge out of that, and that's the only reason I mentioned it. We're really talking about Michael Tyson and whether or not his sweetie ripped him off. Kim in Clearwater. Kim, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you a Democrat?
No, I'm not. I'm a Republican, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Really.
Who are you going to vote for?
I don't know yet.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay. Don in Tampa. Don, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, John. Hello, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, he cut me off right as I was telling him what I want to talk to you about. Bob, you've lost. Dukakis has lost. I'm tired of hearing the same old speech from you over and over again. Mm-hmm. Enough is enough. Mm-hmm. It's getting to the point. I used to really enjoy listening to your show, and it's the more that Dukakis is falling in the polls, the more you have to come up with these pathetic Bush bashing sessions. And,
I don't think I bashed Mr. Bush at all. I simply stated some facts.
Well, you're stating facts on one side. You say how Mr. Dukakis. Okay, you want to hear some facts?
Sir, facts do not.
Okay.
Facts do not just stick to one side or the other. Facts are facts.
Yeah, and let's talk about Mr. Dukakis' universal health care.
Go right ahead.
That is going to just absolutely bankrupt Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. It's going to kill them. It's going to kill the small businessmen. It's going to put people out of work. He doesn't know what he's doing. He started out, when he became in that office up there, he started out with a surplus. He's got such a deficit now, he doesn't know what to do with it.
No, he doesn't, sir.
He does.
No, he doesn't.
And,
no, sir, you can't run a deficit in the state of Massachusetts. They have one of those balanced budget amendments.
Oh, okay. He's raised taxes.
Details.
He's raised taxes.
Sir, he's actually cut taxes.
He hasn't. The fact is he's raised them.
No, sir. The fact is that when he came into office, taxes were higher than they are today.
Oh, okay.
They have both been raised and lowered, but they are still lower than they were when he came in.
Okay. The fact is that Dukakis, another thing about Dukakis is, if he keeps on doing this bashing about quail, I mean, you can't win a campaign by saying that the other guy's vice president is no good. What are you conceding, that he's good and his vice president isn't? I mean, the guy is weak. It's just ridiculous. If I was for him, I'm so sick of hearing what he has to say about this, I would just vote for Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And,
do you own your own home, sir?
What's that?
Do you own your own home?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, why?
Just curious.
Okay.
Do you have health insurance, sir?
Yes, I do.
Very good.
And I pay for it, not my employer.
Great.
Self-employed.
Fantastic.
And I work very hard for my money.
Sure that you do.
And like you, I'm sure
do you give a damn, sir, that there are 37 million people in this country today who don't enjoy what you enjoy in terms of health insurance?
Absolutely, I do care. And I think the people who really need it should get it. However, that's an almost impossible task because it is so difficult to find those people as opposed to the people who really don't need it and go out and can go out and get a job and afford to have it and just don't want to. And it's those are the kind of people that are taking it away from the people.
No, sir, the 37 million that I spoke of are working. That does not include the 33 million people who are on welfare.
Okay. Well,
so if you include them in, 1 out of 4 Americans does not have health insurance.
Okay. Well, like I say,
have you heard George Bush mention that?
There is no simple solution
Neither have I.
to the health care problem. However,
you are aware of the fact that home ownership is actually decreasing?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm sure you're aware that...
Have you heard George Bush mention that?
That home ownership is decreasing?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Neither have I.
Well, there's more important things right now.
For example, sir?
For example, the economy, the unemployment rate. Dukakis is just so far out of it and just doesn't have anything to stand on.
Sir, what was the unemployment rate when Ronald Reagan took over?
I don't
Jimmy
know
Carter?
Exact figures.
7.5%.
Okay. And what is it now?
Well, that all depends.
What does it depend on?
You see, when Jimmy Carter was president, they did not include people who were working part-time but looking for full-time work.
Do you know in Massachusetts...
So if you include them now, the unemployment rate is over 8%.
Do you know that in Massachusetts, if you work 17 hours a week, you are considered full-time, and your employer must give you health insurance?
Sounds like a great deal to me.
A great deal what? Of nonsense. How can someone afford to pay health insurance for someone who's only working 17 hours a week? That is ridiculous.
Sir, how can someone who's only working 17 hours a week afford to pay for his own medical care?
A hell of a lot easier than the small-time business employer who's going to go out of business because they can't afford to pay for them.
Sir, I don't believe people are going out of business left and right in Massachusetts. As a matter of fact, it enjoys a higher standard of living than they do in Florida.
Oh, they do enjoy it, but just this whole universal health care is just kicked in, and wait till you give it a year and see what happens up there to these people. He doesn't know what he's doing, and if he gets his hands on the government and gets in that Oval Office, it's going to be a sad, sad mistake. So in other words, you don't care about the 50% of Americans who don't own their own homes and never will. You don't care about the 30... Of course I do. They can own their own homes if they want to.
Oh, they can?
Yes, if they go out and work hard and do what they want to do and earn the kind of money they want to earn.
Sir, you are, of course, aware of the fact that the average home in this country costs $82,000 some odd dollars, and
aware of that.
And the average wage is $30.
Very aware of that. Are you also aware that with $30,000 a year, you can buy a home for $80,000?
And that's 2.5 times the annual wage?
Are you aware that with a $30,000 income, you can buy a home for $80,000? There's things called bond money for people who do not make over $30,000.
Sir, first of all, they're damn few and far between. And secondly, that $30,000, that's household income, not salary. That's not one person's average income.
That's right.
A household income.
And the bond money
you're not allowed to make over that. So in other words, sir, if this family were both husband and wife, this average American family are out working for the $30,000 by the $80,000 home, which puts them to the absolute max. In other words, they pretty much have to forgo little things like having mom home with the kids, if of course they can afford the time off to have kids.
The fact of the matter is that
that's the fact of the matter, sir.
The special money, I'm speaking of bond money, the combined income for the family cannot exceed $30,000 in some cases, cannot exceed $40,000.
Do you have any idea how many of those mortgages were available in Hillsborough and Pinellas County last year?
If you look around, Bob, you can find them available right now.
Do you have any idea how many?
No, I do not know. Do you?
Less than 100.
Oh, do you know that for a fact?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and do you know how many people know about that? Do you know how many people know about government programs that will help put them through school? So many people are not even aware that half of these programs exist. So so few people are aware
Speaking
of
of
it.
half in those programs, you are, of course, aware of the fact that those programs have been cut by approximately one half in the last 8 years. And George Bush never said a word about it.
Well, Bob, the fact still remains that most people don't even know they're out there to take advantage of them.
Oh.
Okay?
I guess that's because the government also cut back on the printing office, which made such information available to people.
Who knows? No, I don't think so.
Could be.
Because the people who, it's ignorance on part of people.
Oh.
That's what it comes down to, and that's what most of your listening audience is, since they are the Dukakis supporters. And the fact is that you are fighting.
Ignorant, I see.
Well, no, I'm the exception, you see. But I won't be listening that much longer because I'm just sick of this.
Well, I won't be listening to you.
You're fighting a losing battle. You cannot win.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm not trying to win, sir.
And
I do not endorse any candidate.
Can't you come up with something a little better? And I must say, it's probably going to get a lot better on November the 9th when you start talking about wrestling and whatever else it is when Bush went. What is it, wrestling and...
I know that's a little more up your alley, isn't it?
How you decided to bash the young yuppie who said he couldn't wait till you got your wrestling shows on? Put me down with him, Bob. And you know the reason? I used to listen to you religiously every day, day after day. I caught your act when you first came from PLP. And the reason I stopped listening to you, Bob, because you're boring.
Oh, I guess today's the exception. Gus in Tampa. Gus, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, Bob, I had two things I want to bring up, and I'd love to get your input on an economic thing. I'm on the other end of the scale in terms of income, but I happen to dislike the Republican approach. This economy thing, the wage and price controls during the Vietnam War and the Nixon era, then we had Jerry Ford with stagflation, 13% interest, 11% unemployment. And the price of oil went up to $33 a barrel. By 1979, I believe it was up at around $39 a barrel.
Actually crossed 40 for a while.
Yeah, so the Federal Reserve kept kicking the interest rate, and the recession and the breakup of OPEC brought it down during Reagan's first term.
Right.
And what I'm interested in hearing from you, do you think that any president or any philosophy can really control world market forces like this?
Nope.
I hear Carter getting bashed, and that seems to be the big issue the Republicans hang on. Do you want more of what you had?
But, you can fine-tune your economy, but if the world economy goes bonkers, there's not a damn thing the Federal Reserve can do about it. We're not that rich.
Well, why don't some of these people on these talk shows and these journalists and political scientists and administration people, how come nobody ever seems to bring that up in terms of discussing it as an issue when everyone says Dukakis is like Carter and blah, blah, blah? I think there's a lot more to it, and people are really getting fooled.
Why don't people bring it up? It is brought up. It's all public knowledge.
But I've never heard anybody talk about oil prices or world markets or the Federal Reserve. It always seems to be, yeah, Carter brought the interest rates up and Reagan brought them down. That's not true.
No, it's not. And besides, real interest rates are far higher under Ronald Reagan than they were under Jimmy Carter.
The
and
real
that's a fact,
rate
period.
That's right.
Especially
in relation to the gross national product and to the trade deficit.
Well, to hell with the trade deficit and to hell with gross national product. Real interest rates are double what they were under Carter for you. That's all that matters.
That's absolutely right. And the second thing might be of interest, William Buckley had a special firing line at the University of North Carolina. And he had Pat Schroeder, Gary Hart, Jesse Jackson, and George McGovern debated Buckley, Gene Kirkpatrick, Jack Kemp, and Judge Bork.
Gee, I haven't heard of so many clowns being in one room since they graduated the last class down at the Ringling College.
It was a fun hour and a half because some things came out and some views were exchanged, and it was much better than the kind of thing we've been hearing on the other debates.
Gus, I thank you much. I'm out of time for this hour.
Enjoying your show.
Be good.
9 degrees. I'm Latrell Kilbasa. Now here's more with News Radio 970 WFLA's The Worst of Bob Lassiter.
Hi, the burning issue today is to whether or not Michael Tyson is getting the short end of the shaft there or something like that. Dennis.